Hi friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the second in my series of my guide for baby astrologers, and we're going to be talking about what the hell is Mercury retrograde, why it's important to know what it is and when it is so that we can prepare ourselves to navigate through it. So firstly, I just want to apologise for my unscheduled absence from my channel. I haven't posted a main video in like a month, which was definitely not planned. I did go on holiday the start of August, and then when I got back from holiday, I just had an absolute mountain of things that I had to get through. And then I also got a camera for my birthday, which I was really excited to start filming with, but I have not been able to work out the focus effectively. If anyone is a camera person on here, I'll post what exactly it is actually in the comments, and if there are any camera techie people out there that can help me set my focus, then that would be amazing. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So today we are going to be talking about what the hell a Mercury retrograde actually is, what it means, when the next one is, and how you can prepare yourself for a Mercury retrograde so it isn't too chaotic for you. So I'm basically going to give you the tools that you might need to help prepare for the coming Mercury retrograde. So, what is Mercury retrograde? You might see it written as Mercury Rx if you follow a lot of astrologers. It's just a shortened way of saying Mercury retrograde. But I feel like it's quite a trendy thing that people just fling around. You know, something bad happens and they're like, oh, is Mercury in retrograde? It's just become this kind of like trendy thing. But Mercury retrograde is actually an optical illusion where it appears like the planet Mercury is moving backwards in our solar system from our viewpoint here on Earth. Now, there's usually a few Mercury retrogrades throughout the year, and the next one coming up for us is on the 9th of September. So hopefully you're watching this video before the 9th of September. So yeah, the next one is from the 9th of September and it will end on the 2nd of October. So we've got a good few weeks of Mercury in retrograde to deal with. Now, what does that actually mean? Mercury is the planet that rules communication. So during a Mercury retrograde, we can expect communications to feel not as easy as they could, feel a little bit difficult, maybe a little bit strained, maybe we'll experience some conflict, things can definitely be misinterpreted. We can also expect travel plans to go a little bit awry, you know, maybe some lateness, maybe some traffic, maybe some cancelled flights, trains, things like that, just things not going quite as smoothly. Also, with technology, we can experience glitches in technology, maybe things not saving correctly, things being out of focus. Maybe that's what's happened. Mercury retrograde is just hitting me really early this year and my camera's not focusing. Those are the three main things that can be affected when Mercury is in retrograde. So that is communication, travel plans, and technology. So, armed with that knowledge, what can we do to prepare for the next Mercury retrograde? And this kind of goes for every Mercury retrograde, to be honest. As I said, there's usually like 2 to 3 a year. So, the following things I'm going to talk about are kind of my top tips for dealing with Mercury retrogrades in general. So, the first thing we're going to address is the communication. I would urge you during a Mercury retrograde to communicate as clearly and concisely and calmly as possible. I know that can be difficult, especially maybe when it comes to family or work environments and things like that. But just know that we're all in this same boat together during a Mercury retrograde. Life can feel very chaotic, and it might be more chaotic for some than it is for others. I know myself, I've had my fair share of extremely chaotic Mercury retrogrades. And when that happens, you know, it's easy to feel extremely stressed, and therefore I might communicate in a way that is not typical for me, maybe a bit defensively, maybe a bit aggressively. So just be aware of that. Take deep breaths and yeah, just communicate as clearly as possible. I would avoid trying to have any kind of difficult conversation or any conversation that you might think will cause any upset or conflict. Avoid having that over text or email because it's so easy for those things to get misconstrued. I'm sure you'll have come across this. You know, you've sent a fairly innocent text, maybe having a wee joke, not meaning anything, and the person on the other end has taken it the completely wrong way and thinks you've been extremely rude or hurtful or whatever, and it just wasn't meant that way. This type of thing is really common during a Mercury retrograde. So your best line of defense is just to be careful and not to have certainly any difficult conversations through text or email. It's definitely better to speak on the phone, even send in a voice note, because then the person can hear your tone of voice. They can tell if you're joking, or they can tell that you're being lighthearted, or that you're being reasonable at the very least, and you're being calm and you're not shouting at them or being really aggressive. But even better than that, if you can meet people and speak face to face, we are social creatures and we pick up on all the subtle little bits of body language and facial expressions that we make. So when you communicate with someone face to face, it's much easier for them to grasp an understanding of where you're coming from and what you mean, and to not get as defensive or whatever. So that would be my top tip in dealing with communications. Be patient with others, try not to jump to conclusions, and just communicate clearly. If there are any really big discussions or things that you think need to happen that you could have before or after the Mercury retrogrades, that might be a better idea as well. But it's not always possible to organize your life around astrology. I know lots of like really big prominent astrologers do that, but for all of us kind of everyday people, that's not always possible. It's just something that's worth keeping in mind. So the second thing I will talk about is to do with technology. Now, I have had so many issues with technology during the Mercury retrogrades, and we all know when technology glitches, when things don't save, when you can't understand why something's not working, even though it has 100 times before, it is extremely frustrating. Believe me, I've been there more times than I can count, and I get you. I totally get you. So, my advice to you during a Mercury retrograde is try whatever possible to not rely on technology as much. Now, I know that's extremely difficult in the lives that we live in these days. Technology is everything, our phones, our laptops, our iPads. It's just the way we live our lives. So, bearing that in mind, I would try to back everything up, have plan Bs and plan Cs in place, allow extra time to get whatever you need to get done, because your laptop might suddenly need to restart, you might need to upgrade something might be out of focus, whatever. Just allow extra time and be patient with yourself and with the technology. And if it is getting to that point where you want to throw your laptop out the window, been there many times, take a step back. I experienced this during a Mercury retrograde. I think it was last year. It was either the end of last year or the start of this year, and I was editing my show reel, and nothing was working. Like, my editing system kept crashing. I hadn't saved things. Things were just glitching left, right, and center, and I was getting so frustrated. And I think I posted on my Instagram story about it, and one of my friends was like, "This is a sign. Like, you need to just take a break. You need to shut the laptop, walk away, go outside, take a walk. Take this as a sign from the universe that you've had enough, okay, and you need to take a break. Take this time to recharge, because that's what you're being prompted to do. If you get to that point, take a break, reset yourself, recharge, and come back to it when you're in a more calm headspace." And the last bit of advice I have for you are to do with your travel plans. So this doesn't just mean traveling like to a different country, going on holiday. This is your everyday commute as well. During a Mercury retrograde, we can find that travel is just disrupted, whether that means trains, buses, airplanes, whatever are delayed, whether there's just a lot of traffic, whatever. Travel plans can be disrupted. So plan in plenty of extra time for wherever you're trying to get to. Don't try and make it by the skin of your teeth. I mean, that's good practice in general anyway, but definitely during a Mercury retrograde, because you just don't know what's going to happen. Make sure you know where you're meeting people. Make sure you check your train schedules, bus schedules, whatever, ahead of time. Just really try and alleviate any room for error as much as you can. Obviously, this is the thing, things will happen, that's just the way of life. Especially during Mercury retrograde, it can feel very chaotic and things can just be thrown in your way and you just have to deal with them. But when you know that this cosmic thing is happening, and when you're kind of mentally at least prepared for it, then I feel like you're just better equipped. I feel like now when I go into Mercury retrograde, I'm like, okay, I know things are probably going to feel a little bit out of whack for a few weeks. I know that these things might happen, so I'm going into that with my eyes open, and I've got this like toolkit to deal with it. So I hope you enjoyed that explanation of what the hell a Mercury retrograde is. I hope that you feel a bit more armed with the tools that you need to get through the next one, and hopefully the next one is not too chaotic for you. I hope that you enjoy it, because I think the thing is, when we talk about things like Mercury retrograde, it can almost seem kind of scary. Like, I used to be genuinely a little bit scared of it and think, oh my God, my life's going to be just in total upheaval and ruined during Mercury retrograde. But that's not always the case. Sometimes it's, clearing space for something better to come in. Sometimes it's that reminder that actually you do need to pause and take a break. Sometimes it's a reminder as well that life doesn't always have to be go, 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 go. Sometimes when there's an obstacle or a delay put in your path, it can actually be a good thing because it slows you down a bit and it gets you to look around, maybe have a cup of coffee, read your book while you're waiting on your next train or whatever. So it can be a really, really good thing, and it can be a time where if we're open to it, we can learn a lot of lessons, and it can be really good for our personal growth and our personal development. So hopefully that is the way it is for you. And yeah, if you like this kind of content, please leave me a like and a comment below. If you haven't already, then please subscribe. If you're good with cameras, please leave me a comment and help me sort the focus on my camera. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope your Mercury retrograde is as good as it can possibly be, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!